If you are currently experiencing a behavioral issue of any kind, feel free to email me as I do offer virtual coaching. And if you would like, you can go to my Facebook page and you can see all the reviews that I've had from previous clients.
Violence, okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. It's just, you're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom. No, she doesn't want to come over here to see what's up. She just wants to roam the house because she got to roam the house when I was gone. And she needs to literally have the same structured, regimented.
My name is Kevin. I've been working with dogs for 16 years. I currently help dog owners resolve behavioral issues that have developed in their dogs. I make the distinction on my channel that dog training is exclusively skill-based, while behavioral issues are largely socially related. So the focus of this channel is canine social dynamics and the relationship dynamic between dog and human. When I engage in resolving behavioral issues in dogs, I do not use treats, I do not use toys, I don't use play. My focus is on what's happening on a social level between dog and dog owner. So this clip of Hasan Piker allegedly shocking his dog has gone viral. And in situations like these, it's very common for people to get swept up in the wave of emotional outrage. And if you already have a personal bias for or against Hasan, then that's going to color how you see these situations. But rather than diving headfirst into that wave of emotional outrage, I think it would be more appropriate to take an objective look at this. There are a few things about this clip that I think are worth talking about. Everybody seems to care so much about the collar that Hasan had, and I did think it was awfully suspicious that it took him a day to actually show the collar that he allegedly had on the dog. But what nobody seems to be asking is, what about the remote? See, every collar like that has a remote that goes with it, or at the very least, some kind of app on your phone. Why did nobody ask Hasan to show the remote that goes with the collar? Because it would be very easy to determine what kind of collar it is if you had the remote and the collar. But nobody bothered to ask him that, and of course, he didn't bother to show it, which I think is pretty suspicious too.
Closely match the ET300 Mini Educator, which does have shock prongs. It seems to match in shape, in the positioning of the charging port, in the texture of the plastic, unlike this one with the much more curvy light than the one Hasan has. This one, which is vibrate only, also has its charging point on the side. The one Hasan...
No! So just for context...
Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. You're being such a baby.
Hasan first said this was due to his dog tripping, then he said his dog was wearing a vibration collar, and then finally people found out the exact model, which is a shock collar with prongs removed and covered with black tape.
Where the prongs that could deliver the shock are simply removable. You can just remove them. Or apparently, maybe, plausibly, ostensibly, cover them with black tape.
And especially with the difference in level and the shade of black.
For anyone else that's still confused, that's the one in his hand, that's the shock collar, and that's the vibration collar. This needs to be higher. It is 100% proven it's a shock collar. This idiot just taped to get... Oh, man. Are you fucking kidding me? If it's found out that he's taping or obstructing this in any way, he 100% shocked the dog. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Hasan also has a reputation for not exactly being an individual of high character. I wouldn't say Hasan's word has meant all that much in the past, and so I don't really see any reason to believe the bullshit he's saying now.
My internet getting pooped. I come back live, and I'm very frustrated, and while I'm tweaking around, I give Kai the place command, as I usually do, and there's literally a emote for it in the chat for place, which is one of the things that she knows, is she's like professionally trained. And I think while she was like getting up and down from the bed, I don't know exactly what happened, but I suspect that she tweaked her do nail, like the upper nail that's like on the side of the bed. People speculated that I was actually shocking her dew claw. People were like, oh, you're shocking her. Then I suspect that a bunch of people who have never trained a dog, never had a dog that required training, being completely idiotic. Yeah. I mean, it is basically a perfect storm, because obviously I have a lot of haters. Obviously a lot of people love dogs, myself included. The clip looks horrible. And people were like speculating because I was like moving around.
And now it's mainstream. I love her. I think her collar's too tight.
Well, it's here we get.
You have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get one. I think you're choking.
Yeah. Yeah, she sounds like that person.
There's a lot of neck meat for those of you who are confused by it. I do not have a shock collar for Kaya, as I said yesterday, but it doesn't matter. People don't give a shit. And all of the other clips that people have been showing are either the AirTag or the vibration collar that she has. Is from when Kaya yelped. Yeah, she yelped because she fucking clipped herself on something when she was getting off the bed.
His claim was that the reason the dog yelped was because she stepped off of the platform in an incorrect way and clipped her dew nail. But if you watch the clip, the dog didn't yelp until after she was stepping onto the platform. And if you know anything about a dog's dew claw, they point down. And so if the dog was stepping onto the platform, if the dog's lifting her paw, there'd be nothing really to catch it on, unless the nail, you know, maybe the nail was cut improperly and it snagged on something. But even then, I don't believe that would be enough to make a dog yelp. You can clearly see in that clip the dog visibly jumped. I also find it concerning that Hasan was so quick to anger and so quick to get frustrated with the fact that she simply stepped off the platform. And he was quick to blame his mother and saying that she spoiled the dog in giving her free reign of the home. And I do think it's very interesting that it's always the people like Hasan who claim to be all about empathy and feelings and blah, 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 that, you know, this seems like a very authoritarian approach one would take with their dog. And in his own words, he said he's very type A personality with his dog. He's very regimented and says that dogs need structure and order. And I do agree. However, Hasan is incorrect in saying that dogs respond to order.
I am perhaps a little bit too type A of a dog parent. If anything, I'm a little too I'm a little too hyper critical, but that's it.
But then Hasan claims that everything he does with his dog is at the recommendation of a professional and a vet, which I don't know if he means his veterinary doctor or a veterinary behaviorist, but saying you're working with a professional doesn't really mean anything because the dog training industry is an unregulated industry. Nobody needs to be licensed, or there's no testing or anything of that nature, and so anybody can make business cards, set up a website, and call themselves a professional. It doesn't mean the advice they give you is very good.
Genuine ask, aren't Tibetan Mastiffs advised to give large open space to roam around? And though, apart from everything else, you ever sitting for hours on end in one spot, is that okay for her? Yes. Everything that I do with Kaya, is from professional trainers and from vets. Okay. The reason why, if you've ever trained a dog professionally or anything like that, you know that the place command is given. Oftentimes, if your dog is like getting excited or you know, barking or things of that nature, it's supposed to like ground them and calm them down because you're giving them a command. Dogs respond to order and a rigid, structured regimen.
And in this case, when Hasan is claiming that dogs respond to order, well, dogs need order, but how do you go about giving them order? How do you go about giving them the structure that you claim they need? Which I agree, but being so regimented to the level of being an authoritarian is actually detrimental to your dog's well-being. That's not the most healthy and effective relationship you want to build with them. But this brings me to my single greatest issue that I have when I see shit like this. And it's that, as Hasan pointed out, he says he's just reinforcing the behavior that she was taught during the training.
Over though, because like I'm very on it in terms of like reinforcing the training. Because if you actually train your dog, or you take your dog to a trainer and then refuse to reinforce that behavior, you ultimately allow your dog to slowly but surely expand the permission structure. And dogs need good guidance at every given moment.
And my issue with this is it seems to be another case where somebody's promoting this idea that the training never stops. From what I understand, his dog has been on stream since she was very young. Like the dog has grown up on Hasan's streams. And so if the dog was professionally trained, then there should be a point where the training's done and you shouldn't have to do this shit anymore. So why is it that we're still using, let's say hypothetically that it's not a e-collar or shock collar, and let's say it is vibrate only. Why do we still need this tool? If the dog has been trained, why do you still need the tool? The tool should come off eventually. There should be no reason to continue using that tool once that work is done. Imagine having a job and your boss needs to constantly train you on how to do your job correctly. Your boss would think you're fucking incompetent and would fire you. This is why I make the distinction between training being skill-based and behavioral issues being largely socially related. Because if you want an obedient dog, if you want a dog who respects you, if you want a dog who listens to you, that is rooted in respect. And that all has to do with the relationship dynamic you build. You don't need to professionally train the dog. Especially when the impression you give is that training never fucking ends. And as far as I'm aware, he's had the dog for a number of years. He claims she's trained. So these measures should no longer be necessary. People put training up on a pedestal as if it's the end-all be-all rather than the relationship you've built with the dog. So this is a clear example of the hyper-fixation on training and, well, we must reinforce the behavior, we must reinforce the training, rather than what kind of relationship are we fostering with the dog. So you tell me, do you think this is an indication that the relationship that Hasan has with his dog is actually healthy? Or do you think that this is a symptom of an overbearing authoritarian mindset rooted in training?
A lot of people who are like talking shit right now are completely oblivious to that reality. They've either never taken care of a pet, they've never actually taken care of another living, breathing, organic thing, okay? Whether it be a hamster or a dog or anything else. And for that reason, they just don't understand it.